Good morning, everyone. This is Bremster, and today I'm coming to you with a puzzle that I will tell you right off the gate. This is not a blind solve. This is a puzzle called Averages by John that he sent me. I think it may have actually been late December, though it may have been early January. And back then I attempted a solve of this puzzle, and I did not get through it. I was unable to solve this puzzle. And then a couple of weeks ago, I attempted it again and I got a lot further and I was able to find some tricks in the puzzle, but I don't think I found a good way through it. And then a few days ago, I actually sat down with some friends and we solved through it together. And I now understand this puzzle a lot better. So this is not a blind solve. I don't remember an exact path through the solve, but I think I remember it pretty well. But the puzzle is really good, and I honestly believe that just because I couldn't solve a puzzle the first time I looked at it doesn't mean that many of the people who watch my channel won't be able to solve it, or those who also, like me, are not able to solve it first off, won't enjoy some of the tricks that are in it. So this channel is all about the puzzles, not about me. So just because I failed does not mean that the puzzle is not good, and I want to show it to you anyway, because this puzzle I think is really, really clever. Before I get onto the puzzle, I do want to mention that it is now only 3 days until the end of the Save the Galaxy puzzle adventure. So if you've been attempting that, then it's time to start considering submitting any of the solution codes that you have. It is important to remember that even if you do not complete all of the puzzles, you can submit any of the solution codes that you have and still be eligible to win prizes. People will get promotions through the ranks of the corps that you are in when you are completing the adventure for each puzzle that you complete. So I've had quite a few people who've completed the entire adventure, and they have managed to save the galaxy, but there have been a couple of people who said they won't have time to continue and have submitted only for a few puzzles. So please, if you have completed even just one puzzle, submit the code. That will earn you a chance at winning this month's the prize for this month, which is a copy of World of Sudoku #1 by Akash Dulani. And it is always worth going to Akash's website, and which I'll put a link to below, and checking out his stuff. The books that he sells and the puzzles that he posts are very, very good for solvers of all skill levels. So yes, back to this puzzle, Averages by John. There are 2 rules in effect, and one of them is the sort of thing that is exactly what I am bad at. Actually, both of them, really. I mean, if you've watched my channel for any time, you'll know that this first one kind of tricks me up a lot. So, normal Sudoku rules apply. In every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. Sometimes I struggle with that one. The other rule in play is the averages rule. So a digit in a circle is the average of the 4 digits surrounding it. So, yeah, and digits may repeat around a circle if allowed by other rules. What that basically means is if you were to add up all of those digits, or all of the digits surrounding a circle, and take their average, it will be exactly the number in the circle. So math, something I am not great at. And it's not even that hard math, but I still struggled a lot with this puzzle. So that's it. Let's give this a shot. So as I said at the beginning, I do have an idea on how to solve this puzzle, and I did, and this is not going to be a blind solve. So rather than me sitting here and going, so what do I do next? I'm actually just going to work through what I kind of know the solution path to be. So the first thing I noticed, and I am going to still have my calculator open because it will help me. The first thing I noticed is you look at a set of 4 cells, and I'm picking one of the extreme ones, this 7. And if you want to get an average to 7, then basically what you can do is you can look at these 4 cells and you can say, okay, for this to be an average of 7, you basically multiply 7 by 4. So this is going to be a 28. These four cells have to sum to 28. And the same is true here. So this is basically, because they all see each other, a virtual 28 cage. And similarly, if we look here, this is going to be a virtual 20 cage. So what we've got here are kind of like virtual killer cages that can overlap, which is sort of a weird concept. But digits can also repeat in them. So in this one, this is a 6. So you end up with 6 times 4 is what the total of this cage is going to be. So 6 times 4 is 24. So this is a virtual 24 cage where digits can repeat and can overlap with this cage. So it's a little bit... So the killer concept is something that I started thinking about when I was solving it. But if you look at this and think about it as a 28 cage and all the digits see each other, then when you look at 28, there's only 2 ways of making that, and both of them require an 8 or a 9. If I do not use both 8 and 9, then I don't get to the total. 9, 7, 6, and 5 is 18 plus 9 is 27. I don't get to the 28 I need. This is another one that is exactly the same. This needs an 8 or a 9. So I can't put an 8 or a 9 in any of those cells. So 8 or 9 must go here. Now this box becomes incredibly powerful. And I'm going to be bad at explaining this because of the math situation. So please, I'll do my best. So then we looked at this, and I say we because, as I said at the beginning, I worked through this with some other really good solvers. And the easiest way I found to explain this, others explained it in a mathematical way, but I tried to figure out how I was going to explain it, is this is a set of 4 cells that have to sum to 16. So this cannot be an 8-9 pair, because if this is an 8-9 pair, this is 17, and I'm already over 16. Same here. This cannot be an 8-9 pair. So if I put 8, 9 here, then I'm already over the 16 that I need for these 4 cells. So I need to put 8, 9 in both of these, but I can't have it in those. So these have to be kept apart, and that cannot be 8, 9, and this must be an 8, 9 pair. So 8, 9 goes in here. So in here, I've got 2 with either 8 or 9 to get to 16. Now, there's a couple of different ways of doing this. The way I did it is I brought up my calculator and I said, okay, if I'm getting to 16, if I'm getting to 16 and I've got a 2 and an 8, then what needs to go with it? And the answer is it needs to go with 1 or 5. 1 and 5, and that's the only option. So whichever one goes with the 8 needs to have a 1 and a 5. When I've got the 9, it needs to go with 1 and 4. So whichever one of these is 8 and whichever one of these is 9, both of them need the 1. So if I was to put the 1 here, I can't put the 1 in with the 9 or with the other one of the 8 or 9. If I was to put the 1 here, I couldn't get it into this quad. It needs to be in both. So this has to be the 1. This, because these are going to be 8, 1, 2, 4, 4, 9 and 1, 2, 5, 8. This becomes the 4, 5, and these are the digits that are left. So these are 3, 6, and 7. Now I start thinking about what happens up here. If I put 6, 7 in here, I'm at 13. These are 16s, 13, 15, that would have to be a 1, but the 1 has to be used down here for the 8s and 9s. So I cannot put 6, 7 together in either of these, so this has to be the 3. And I can take the 3 out of there. And that actually holds up. So I've got the 5 here, these have to sum to 11, and I can do that with either 7, 4 or 6, 5, and whichever one of these becomes the 4 or the 5 will determine the 8 or the 9, or the other way around. So you can actually get that, and this is very clever by Jonn, but it did take me a very long time and some help to see this. You can actually get this cage forced to this by the fact that you can't use the 8 or the 9 in any of those cells. and the 2 that is given. Interestingly enough, this puzzle is symmetrical. Down here, we've got these 3 averages. 3 averages work up to 12. 12 must have 1 and 2 in them. 1 and 2 is now forced up here. These totals are 24 totals. A 24 total with a 1 or a 2, if this is a 1 and 2 together, I've got 3. 3 plus 8 is 11. To get to 24, that would have to be a 13. And that works the same in the other direction. That does not work. If I've got any of these numbers wrong, the concepts are right. I'm doing the math in my head, and I'm bad at that, but I'm pretty certain the concepts I'm stating are correct. So the 1 and the 2 must be kept apart. 1, 2, and 8 in a 24 total must have 9s in them. There's no other way of doing it. If I do not include a 9 with the 1, 2, 8 to get to 24, I won't reach the total. So the only way I can share the 9 is to put it there, exactly the same logic as with the 1 here. When I've got a 9 and an 8 with a 1 and a 2, I must use the 5 and the 6, otherwise I won't reach the total. Again, you can do that by either just doing the math. If you've got 9, 8, and 1, you've got 18. In order to get to the 24, you need the 6, and if you're using 9, 8, and 2, in order to get there, you need the 5. So you can do it by math, or you can just look up the 24 killer cage that will get you there with those values. This leaves down here 3, 4, and 7. And the same logic up here, but in reverse. If I put 3, 4 in here, I've got 7. 7 plus 8 is 15. This would need to be a 9 to get to the 24, and I don't have the 9 available. The 3, 4 must be kept apart. This becomes the 7, and these chains will be forced by whatever happens to one of these digits. Incredibly clever break-in, but I was unable to find that on my own. So if you're struggling with this, then I hope this video helps you. And if you're not struggling with this, awesome work. Okay, so from this point on, once this was explained to me, I actually started doing a little bit better at this puzzle. So I'm going to keep working up here. These are 28 cages. If you put a 1 into a 28 cage, you will not reach the total. So the 1s are forced into these cells in box 2 and 3. Now, we've got this 1, 2 pointing down here now. So these come out and this becomes a 1, 2 pair. And these ones force 1 out of there. I know I could have done that at the minute I got this, but I wanted to replicate this logic while I was still thinking about it, because this is a symmetrical puzzle. So if you've got 1, 2 in and this is where doing this first comes into effect as well. If you've got 1, 2 in a 12 cage, there are 2 options you've got. You've got 3, 6 or 4, 5. I cannot use 3, 6 down here. This is 4, 5, and the order is known because I've got the 5, 6 pair over here. So this is 4 and this is 5. And I probably can do the same up here. Yes, I can remove the 8, 9 from there. These become 8, 9. In order to have the 8, 9 in there, I can either use 4, 7 or 5, 6 because I've got 17. This needs to get to 28. I need another 11. The only way to do that without using 8, 9 is 4, 7 or 5, 6. Can't use 4, 7. This becomes 5, 6. That is 5. That is 6. Does something happen here now? Yeah, so the trick that comes into play now is with this one, 9s are still forced into here, 9 comes out of here, and I'll do it up here. So in here, we've still got to make the 8 and the 9, which gets 17, so I still need another 11. I can't use the 8 or the 9, so I'm still limited to 4, 7 or 5, 6, but now I can't use 5, 6. So this is 4, 7 8, 9. And I can't use 5, 6 because I can't put 5 in either of those because there, and I can't put 5 in either of those. 5s and 6s are now locked out of those rows. So this is 4, 7, 8, 9. I can't put 9 there. I can't put 4 there, and I can't put 7 there. So we get down to that situation. And down here, we can do the same. So this has to be 1, 2, 3, 6 or 1, 2, 4, 5, but now I can't put 4 or 5 into any of this. So this becomes 1, 2, 3, 6. I can't put 1 in there. I can't put 3 in there. I can't put 6 in there. And we get down to that. I'm sure I'm missing a trick at this point, but that's, oh, yes, I am missing an incredibly obvious and powerful trick at this point. These ones here, so the 1 here is knocking the 1 out of here, and I could have done this before I did this logic, which would have actually helped me. This one is knocking the 1 out of here, which forced it into there, which I explained earlier. That's looking down and making that the 2 and that the 1. And that fully resolves these cages pretty much, because we give, this is 29, this is 17, 19. These need to get to 24, so this becomes a 5. That makes this a 6. This is now 15, 21. This needs to get to 24. This becomes 3. This becomes the 4. I've got the same trick here. There is 9s here, which is forcing this to become an 8. These need to get to 16. This is 11. This becomes a 5. This becomes a 4. This becomes a 9. This is 10, but it needs to get to 16. This becomes the 6. This becomes the 7. And that has some impact. I can't remember. Maybe not. But yes, this is fully resolved by the same 1 and 9s being forced into here. Okay, what do I want to look at next? I'm actually not sure. Remembering stuff is not my forte. So, as I said, I don't remember exact solve paths. I just try and get an overall gist of where I am going. Oh, okay, yes. That I vaguely remember this, so this is cool. So if I'll look at row 1. I'll try and stop working from the bottom up the grid. This is a 4, 8, 9 pair now. So we actually know what these digits are. So that the digits we're missing, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So this is a 1, 2 pair. I won't take those out because that's for the box. This 2, however, does resolve it. This becomes a 1 and this becomes a 2. This is a 7, 8, 9 triple, which this stuff is incredibly clever. So what I'm missing from this row is 1 and 3. But that 1 is forcing it. So that's the 3 and that's the 1. And now I've got triples in these boxes. This is 2, 4, and 7. There's a 2, 4 down here, so this becomes a 7. This 2, 4 does not seem to be resolved. And in here, I need 3, 5, and 6, which does not seem to be immediately resolved. Now, yeah, this is a pair. So I've got a 1, 2, 6 triple. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is an 8, 9. This 8 makes this the 9. This the 8. This becomes a 9. This is now just something missing, which seems to be a 7. This 8 is now looking back up, making this 4 and this 7. So I take 4 and 7 out of there. So I've now got these 8, 9 pairs looking at each other. Which will get resolved by something. It'll probably end up being that. And that 2 is looking down, making that 3 and that 6. So I can take 3 and 6 out of here. And again, I've got these 1, 2s looking at each other, which I'm sure will be resolved in here somewhere. These are now triples. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. There is a 4, 7 looking down, making that a 5. So I can take the 5 out of there. Could have taken the 5 out of there anyway, but whatever. And these are 3, 6, and 8. And I've got a 6, 8 looking down there, which makes this 3, and I can take the 3 out of there. So that's some progress. The 5 looks back up, taking 5 out of there. Oh, 3, 6. This becomes the 5. There is no 5 there. So, what is next? I am actually not sure. Probably something basic I have missed. This, I think, is going to come into play right now. Again, I should be looking at the top of the grid, but my eyes are always drawn to the bottom. So this needs to sum to 20, and this is 14. So these need to sum to 6. Now, if I put a 7 in there, this would have to be a -1. And last time I checked, let me just check the basic Sudoku rules. 1 to 9, yeah, I can't use a -1. So this is a 4. So these are now 18, so that becomes a 2. This becomes a 7, this becomes a 1. The 1 makes this a 2, which makes this a 1, and we get to that state. Do I have the same trick up here? So these need to be a 6, these need to sum to 14. If I make that a 3, this would need to be 11, and by the same rule set, I'm pretty certain that's not legal. So that becomes a 6, that becomes a 3. These now sum to 12. That needs to be an 8 to complete the Sudoku rules. That becomes a 9, that becomes an 8, that becomes a 9. And now I think I've got a lot of pressure in box 5 because this is a pair. This is 1, 2, 3, and 7. This is a triple. 1, 2, and 6. And this is a triple. 4, 8, and 9. Okay. Can I do anything with that? The answer here is yes, and this is where another really cool trick of this puzzle comes into play. And this was something I was shown. I did not find this on my own. So again, if you find this, awesome work. If you think about the nature of one of these cells, or one of these average clues, this needs to sum to or the average of this is going to be 4, but that means that all of these cells together, when you divide them by 4, are going to be an integer. So they are always going to have to total to a multiple of 4. These were 16. This was 20. This was 28. These are 24. This will sum to 16. 16 is a multiple of 4. So because of that, if you think about the nature of 16, you cannot have an... You need to have an even number. It's an even number, and you need that to therefore have an even number of odd digits in this, or else the parity will be wrong. So if I had 3 odd digits in here and an even digit, then I would not be able to get to 16 because I would be having 2 odd digits would make even, which would be fine. I would then add another odd digit, which would give me an odd digit. And then if I added an even digit, I would still be at an odd digit, and 16 is not odd. So you must always have either 0, 2, or 4 odd digits surrounding one of these. And we can look at the existing ones we've got. 2 odd digits, 2 odd digits, 2 odd digits, 2 odd digits. In here, we've got 2 odd digits. So any of these we look at will have either 0, 2, or 4 odd digits around it. These are both odd, and in here we've got 2 even and an odd. So if either of those was a 1, the other one would be even, and I would have 3 odd digits around this, which does not work. So this cannot be a 1, or the 16 total is not possible. And you can get that without having to think about doing the math. You could have done it by doing the math, but that's an interesting way of getting there without actually having to think about the numbers themselves. And we've got the same here. This is 2 odds. If I was to put another odd in there, I would have 3 odds and an even, which cannot possibly get us to the 24 we need. So I cannot put 9 in there, and this becomes the 9. As I said, there is another way of getting there, but I wanted to demonstrate the trick that I was explained, and I think this is the best place to do it. So what is the best thing to look at now? Possibly this triple. because that's going to put some pressure on this clue. So this can be 1, 2, or 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 1, 2, or 4. So this is going to sum to 16. I have 10. So this needs to sum to 6. So this cannot be 8. This is 4. I now have 14. So this needs to be a 2. This becomes an 8. These are not 2. I now around here, which needs to be 24, I have 17. 17 to 24, this needs to be a 7. This becomes a 3. This clue is resolved, but I can probably do the same trick here because this puzzle is completely symmetrical. If you look at this, this I believe is actually a GSP, which I think is Girth's symmetrical placement puzzle, where if you pick a cell and then rotate it around 180 degrees on the grid, those two digits will sum to 10. Whoops. There. But I'm not using that in the solve, but I think it's true for every digit in this grid. So anytime you do logic, you can just flip the grid over and do the same logic again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So in here, we are getting to 24. I can remove the 9 from there. I can remove the 8 from there. So in here, we need to get to 24. I have 10. These need to sum to 14. These need to be maximum or I won't get there. So this is 8. This is 6. This is 2. I take the 8 out of there. Now I'm going to look at this, I think. This needs to sum to 20. If this is 11, if I put a 9 here, this would need to be a 0. So that's not going to work. So this is a 6. This is a 9. So now I have 11, 17. In order to get to 20, that needs to be 3. I can probably do the same trick here. So this is 9. This needs to get to 20. In order for this to get to 20, these need to sum to 11. If this is a 1, this would need to be 10. Not possible. So that has to be a 4. So now, as I said, these have to get to 11. 4 plus 7 is 11. This is a 1. I'm going to look at this row, I think, because again, I'm working from the bottom up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 9. There is an 8 and 9 here, so this becomes a 5. I take the 5 out of here. This 9 makes this an 8 and this a 9. The 8 makes this a 6 and this an 8. This column is just missing a 6. This box is now missing 3 and 5, and the 5 gives me the 3 and the 5. This row is missing 4 and 7, and the 7 down here gives me the order. That resolves this 2 and this 4, and now I just need to put in the 1 and the 2, and that completes averages by Jonn. If I had released my original video of this where I did this as a blind solve, first of all, I failed. And second of all, I think I spent 90 minutes trying to find those tricks. It was, I just did not manage to find that on my first go through. So if you struggled with that puzzle, I get it. I really do. This is the sort of puzzle that I'm trying to improve at. And having sat down with some of the other setters and some of the other solvers I know, and just working through it together and them showing me what I was missing was incredibly valuable. So using help of a channel like mine or Ranks or ZetaMath or Scott Strossal or Cracking the Cryptic to say, where do I get up to in a puzzle? Where have I gotten stuck? Or, you know, jump into some of the Discord channels on the Cracking the Cryptic server and ask for help. And figuring out what the next step is and then progressing and learning as you do that. You never stop doing that. It doesn't matter how long you've been solving. And the way I turn around and go, I failed at this puzzle, but I think there's some good lessons to learn in this puzzle. So I really wanted to make sure I could learn what those lessons were and then show my viewers, because me saying I couldn't do it and therefore you don't deserve to see what lessons there are in this puzzle, I can't do that. There are so many good things to learn in this. So I hope that this puzzle, thank you, Jonn. This was, I learned so much doing this puzzle. I don't think it was brutally hard. I just struggled with the concept and figuring out how the logic worked. But once I saw it, it was like, this is really, really beautiful. So I know I'm rambling a bit. I'm incredibly tired. I've had a really rough week. But I just wanted everyone to see this puzzle. I thought it was great. And I hope you did give it a shot. And if you struggled, I hope you used the video to figure out, wow, that's really cool. And if you didn't like the puzzle, okay. But yeah, I'm really happy with this one. And I'm really glad I could finally bring it to the channel. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And I really, yeah, I'm rambling. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And as always, all I can say is good luck with your solving.